After nearly 3 decades alongside audiences, the Mission Impossible franchise seems to be approaching its conclusion with Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Touted as the final chapter in the impossible missions of legendary agent Ethan Hunt, this installment was expected not only to close the curtain on a symbolic action franchise, but also to serve as a spectacular farewell to Tom Cruise in the role that has defined his career since 1996. And in many ways, Tom Cruise still accomplishes what few of his contemporaries can, delivering adrenaline-pumping performances that leave audiences breathless in theaters. However, despite bearing the hallmarks of overambition and recycled tropes, the film remains a testament to Cruise's tireless passion for cinematic action. The question is, does The Final Reckoning bring Ethan Hunt's journey to a satisfying end, or does it leave audiences with more questions than answers? Let's dive in with Take 42. 1. Storyline. The plot picks up just 2 months after the events of Dead Reckoning in 2023. Ethan Hunt and his IMF team are once again thrust into one of their most perilous missions, yet pursuing the villain Gabriel, who holds control over a powerful artificial intelligence known as the Entity. Unlike any threat before, the Entity is not just a tool of technological warfare, it is a self-aware entity capable of manipulating global information, posing a direct threat to the security and survival of humanity. To prevent the chaos that the Entity could unleash, Ethan must hunt down a device containing the AI's core source code, the only key that can deactivate it. However, the device has been split in two and is hidden in remote, heavily guarded locations across the globe. This mission takes Ethan from European cities to the icy desolation of the Arctic, with each step fraught with danger and the looming presence of adversaries desperate to harness the Entity's power for themselves. Along the way, Ethan is forced to turn to both former allies and past enemies for help. He reunites with Grace, the reluctant partner who played a pivotal role in the previous film, while also reconnecting and collaborating with characters who once opposed him, such as Paris and Degas. The return of familiar faces from past installments underlines that this mission is not just about saving the world, it's also a reckoning with Ethan's own past. Gabriel, mysteriously tied to Ethan's dark history, emerges as a deeply unsettling adversary. Their clash is not only physical, but emotional, as memories, trauma, and life-or-death choices weigh heavily on both sides. Meanwhile, Ethan's trusted teammates Luther and Benji remain by his side, offering both technical support and emotional grounding. The mission crescendos in a series of jaw-dropping action sequences in the air and underwater. Ethan must infiltrate a fast-flying propeller aircraft, outmaneuver enemy forces, and then dive into freezing waters to recover the second half of the encryption device. Both sequences push him to the edge of physical and mental endurance. In the end, with the threat of the Entity temporarily neutralized, Ethan retreats from the spotlight of the organization. He leaves behind a safer world, but also brings closure to a 3-decade-long journey defined by unwavering pursuit of duty. The Final Reckoning is not merely the end of a mission, it is a farewell to a hero who devoted nearly his entire life to impossible causes. A quiet but profound goodbye from Ethan Hunt to the world he once risked everything to protect. 2. Review. The film doesn't quite explode as spectacularly as expected, suffering from an overloaded narrative and emotional underdevelopment. Act 1, a stuttering start. The film opens by introducing a high-tech global threat, the artificial intelligence known as the Entity. This AI is spiraling out of control, capable of manipulating information defense systems and even human will. It's a bold narrative shift that propels Mission Impossible into new territory, raising existential questions about the relationship between AI and humanity. Choosing a timely modern antagonist like AI is a strong move that differentiates this installment from its predecessors. However, rather than fully capitalizing on the allure of this new threat, the film spends too much time recapping events from Dead Reckoning Part 1. This may alienate viewers who skip the 7th film, making them feel as though they've missed a few crucial chapters. Additionally, the influx of new secondary characters, politicians, and intelligence officers fails to captivate. They largely function as exposition machines rather than compelling individuals, bogging down the pace with an excess of old and new information and diluting the urgency expected of a supposed final mission. Act 2. Escalation, grand in scale but unfocused. The film's longest segment bursts with elaborate action sequences spread across European cities. Audiences are treated to pulse-pounding motorcycle chases, submarine break-ins, and high-stakes propeller plane stunts. There's no denying the visual spectacle, stunning cinematography, bombastic sound design, and Tom Cruise continuing his reign as the king of real-life stunts. Action-wise, the film soars, staying true to the Mission Impossible tradition of never letting viewers down. However, amid the breathtaking action, a glaring issue emerges: the lack of a strong central plot to hold it all together. The inclusion of too many supporting characters, both old and new, leaves the script feeling scattered. Gabriel, the main villain, though, touted as having deep ties to Ethan, doesn't get enough screen time to develop into a truly formidable threat. Their psychological tension is told rather than shown, making it difficult for the audience to feel the weight of Ethan's pain or responsibility. Even more disappointing is the arc of Grace, poised to inherit Ethan's mantle, which is brimming with potential yet underexplored. She's constantly thrown into action scenes, but lacks the emotional development to forge a meaningful connection with the audience. The result, a midsection packed with noise but lacking heart. Act 3. Climactic execution but emotional letdown. The climax places Ethan in one of the franchise's most iconic stunts, leaping onto a high-speed aircraft, maneuvering through its spinning blades, and engaging in mid-air combat. This is Mission Impossible at its purest: real stunts, no CGI, just raw intensity, and Tom Cruise's unrelenting commitment. Technically, it's a landmark action sequence for modern cinema, authentic and gripping, and awe-inspiring in its execution. Tom Cruise's dedication is nothing short of heroic. But when emotions should peak, when Ethan is meant to confront the consequences of 3 decades of sacrifice, the film falters. There's no tearful goodbye, no dramatic psychological confrontation with the villain, no profound reflection on a hero, possibly stepping away for good. The film closes with lingering questions, unclear if this is truly the final mission or merely a pause. This lack of finality robs the ending of the emotional satisfaction that Fallout delivered so effectively. A film full of ambition, yet burdened by its past. Director Christopher McQuarrie clearly poured immense passion into turning this final chapter into an epic summation, from the expansive ensemble cast and globe-spanning locations to meticulously choreographed action scenes. Returning characters like Henry Czerny and Angela Bassett, alongside newcomers Holt McCallany and Nick Offerman, enrich the film's narrative tapestry. Particularly Pom Klementieff, as Paris injects fresh energy with a performance that is both fierce and enigmatic. However, the effort to connect all previous installments makes the film feel bloated. Forced plot threads tying into the past, the sudden reappearance of long-forgotten characters like William Donlow from the 1996 original and dialogue designed purely for fan service, stretch the runtime unnecessarily. Rather than a climactic finale, the film resembles a nostalgic highlight reel, heartfelt, but lacking the impact needed for a groundbreaking conclusion. Visually dazzling action, yet missing that breakthrough edge. In terms of action, the bedrock of Mission Impossible, the final reckoning does not disappoint. From the buried submarine in Sevastopol to the mid-air dogfights in prop planes, Tom Cruise proves once again that he is irreplaceable in the world of blockbuster action. The choice to shoot everything practically without CGI honors the series' legacy of authenticity. One standout sequence involves Ethan scaling a speeding aircraft, clinging to its wing, and leaping onto another plane, a stunning, heart-stopping moment of raw spectacle. Cinematographer Fraser Taggart transforms every frame into a high-octane cinematic work of art. Still, longtime fans may find some sequences a bit too familiar, underwater scenes recalling Rogue Nation aerial pursuits evoking Fallout. While still thrilling, these repetitions somewhat diminish the fresh impact one would expect from a true finale. Ethan Hunt, now vulnerable and soulful, one of the film's brightest spots is the evolution of its protagonist. This time, Ethan Hunt is no longer the invincible super agent, but a man exhausted, isolated, yet steadfast in his convictions. From diving into the icy Bering Sea to breaking out of prison using a poison capsule tooth, his actions reflect not just skill, but survival instinct and unshakable will. For perhaps the first time, audiences witness a fragile, emotional Ethan, far from the usual action machine archetype. Despite moments that feel dragged out or overly complex, the final reckoning stands as the most emotionally resonant entry since Ghost Protocol, a symphony of action tinged with farewell and legacy. At 62, Tom Cruise remains a blazing star in the action sky, a rare icon who has kept his edge. If this truly marks Ethan Hunt's final appearance on screen, at least he exits on his own terms with gravity-defying leaps and unwavering faith in cinema. Mission Impossible. The Final Reckoning is a visually electrifying action feast, showcasing the daring stunts that have become Tom Cruise's trademark. However, the film stumbles in its storytelling, spreading itself too thin with underdeveloped supporting arcs and a lack of emotional depth. The technical spectacle of its conclusion is undeniable, but its emotional resonance falls just short. What do you think of how The Final Reckoning wrapped up Ethan Hunt's story? Was it the ending you hoped for? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.